By far, the only evidence of a deity named Moloch can be found in the Bible. The origin of the Moloch problem begins within the Old Testament, ancient Israel, and a cursed valley. The valley of the son of Hinnom, also known as Gehenna, a valley just south of Jerusalem, holds great significance in ancient Israel. The valley is mentioned numerous times in the Hebrew Bible and was associated with the worship of Moloch. The association of the valley of the son of Hinnom with Moloch worship led to the valley becoming a symbol of judgment and punishment. The valley is frequently used in Christian teachings in correlation to hell or eternal punishment. Today, the valley of the son of Hinnom is a popular tourist destination known for its stunning views of Jerusalem. However, its history as a site of religious significance and association with Moloch serves as a reminder of the complex and often controversial nature of the ancient religions of the Middle East. The worship of Moloch is mentioned several times in the Bible. In Leviticus 20, 2-5, the Bible prohibits the worship of Moloch and states that those who sacrifice their children to Moloch should be put to death. In 1 Kings 11, 5-8, it is mentioned that King Solomon worshipped Moloch, leading to his reign's downfall. Jeremiah 32:35 says that the people of Judah and Jerusalem sacrificed their children to Moloch, which led to their downfall. In Ezekiel 20:25-26, it is mentioned that the Israelites were punished for worshiping Moloch, among other gods. Despite the many claims of Moloch being a prominent figure of sacrificial worship, there are no known mentions of Moloch or archaeological evidence of his statues outside of the Bible. The debate about the existence of an ancient cult of Moloch centers around the confusing Hebrew word and letters MLK. When put together, these letters form the root word for Moloch. Like all words in Hebrew, there are no vowels in Molch, the Hebrew word that is translated into Moloch. And because there are no vowels, Hebrew root words can be interpreted differently depending on context. This root word, meaning Moloch, can also be construed as Melech, Malik, and Milcom, of which all can be interpreted as royal titles. For example, the title given to Jesus as the King of Kings would be read in Hebrew as Melech Malkai Ha-Melakim. T.E. Colebrook expands on the ancient usage of Malik as ruler in his book on imperial and other titles. In it, he states that the famous Saladin bore the title of Sultan as well as a Malik. His full title, as it appears on his coins, runs the Malik, the defender of the faith. The prominent correlation with Moloch as a deity whom the ancient people of the Levant practiced child sacrifice comes from the Bible's condemnation of the Ammonites. The Ammonites were strangely descended from a disgraced and incestuous line between Lot, the nephew of Abraham, and his younger daughter. The Ammonites, or sons of Ammon, were a tribe from the city of Ammon in Jordan. They were a seemingly fierce tribe, as we are told in the Bible. They went up against Israel in various battles. They eventually assimilated into Israel during the reign of King Solomon. This mingling of cultures later led to Solomon's downfall and the condemnation of the Israelites' practice of polytheism and human sacrifice. The earliest evidence of their culture comes from the 9th century BC. The earliest evidence is an inscription known as the Ammon Citadel inscription, found in 1961. The text comprises 33 words which concern some building instructions from their god, Milcom. Along with this text, we have found at least 2 seals in the Ammon area bearing theophoric names to Milcom, belonging to a couple of kings. One from the 5th century BC, found in Tal al-Mazar, bears the name Milcom-Yat, meaning, may Milcom come. Here, it is further substantiated that the Ammonites never worshipped a god named Moloch, but rather Milcom. Furthermore, the Bible never used the name Moloch. It used the name Molech. Moloch is a Greek rendition of Molech. This is shown in Leviticus 18:21. And you shall not let any of your descendants pass through the fire to Molech, nor shall you profane the name of your God. And even here, the term Molech was a clever degradation of the Ammonite god Milcom. Milcom generally meant their king or our king, which in Hebrew was Melech. The Torah writers didn't want to correlate Yahweh, their Melech, with the Melech of the Ammonites. The Israelites distorted the Ammonite title to Molech, inserting, as some scholars have pointed out, the same O pronunciation from the Hebrew word boseth, meaning shame, thus creating the word Molech. The situation is complex and further deepened by the fact that some scholars have questioned whether Mulk or Moloch was referring to a deity at all. Some believe that the Israelites and ancient Canaanites referred to a type of sacrifice known as a Mulk or Moloch. Among the finds at the various Tophets, we have found inscriptions bearing categories of what type of sacrifice was offered. As Benedetto pointed out in her thesis paper, the word Mulk was found followed by either of the three of the various types. Benedetto explains that the first type is Mulk Emor, which refers to the sacrifice of a lamb or kid as a substitute offering for a child. The second is Mulk Baal, which refers to the sacrifice of a Baal, the child of an estate-owning or wealthy mercantile family. The final type, not found at Carthage, is Mulk Adam, which refers to the sacrifice of a commoner. The idea that Mulk refers to a type of offering and not a deity stems from the early 20th century German writer Otto Eisfeld. Eisfeld, like other scholars over the decades, realized that the Levantine term Mulk was not isolated to just the Israelite culture. We have found usages of the word Mulk in other ancient Punic and Mediterranean texts. Among these texts, we have the 3rd century BC Nebi Yunus inscription. In this example, we read that a Mulk was offered to a deity named Eshum. Therefore, with evidence such as these, Eisfeld and others have concluded that the Bible's references to people sacrificing their children to Mulk should be read as them sacrificing their children as a Mulk, a specific burnt offering. Eisfeld also postulated that the context was changed to disassociate Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, from this form of worship. He believed that Yahweh, too, received Mulk sacrifices in ancient times. By creating an archetypal god based around this sacrificial worship, the Israelites were placing the disturbing and embarrassing act onto the Canaanites, partly covering up the fact that their people also once worshipped Yahweh in such a manner. Eisfeld was one of many over the decades who argued for this interpretation. Some scholars have pointed out a particular section in the Bible that may reveal a reflection of the ancient Israelite Mulk sacrifices to Yahweh. This section is Zephaniah 1:5b. Zephaniah 1 is a prophecy about God's judgment upon sinful people. In 1b, God declares punishment of a particular set of people who swear by the Lord and that swear by Malcolm. This strange declaration has led to many scholars interpreting the last part as people who worship Yahweh and other gods simultaneously. As we've learned, Mulk can also be interpreted as a type of offering, so we may read that Yahweh and, subsequently, the Torah writers were outlawing Yahweh's worship through child sacrifice. The sentence structure strangely ends with, and that swear by Mulk. Some scholars have concluded that swearing by Mulk is evidence of people worshiping Yahweh through certain ritual child sacrifice. The verse then should be read adequately as God punishing those who swear by the Lord and that swear through Mulk child sacrificing. This indicates that at some point the early Israelites were practicing child sacrifice. The Bible reflects this in the critical episode between Abraham and his son Isaac. In Genesis 22:2, we are told that God commanded Abraham to take now your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering. Here, Yahweh is directly demanding Abraham to perform a Molech sacrifice,